Hello, my friends. I'm Pearl of Wisdom. I am a professional sports handicapper that affiliates with the Ice Guys, that was voted best sports podcast in North America last year. And so you might want to get subbed up to them. We made a lot of money last year. And I'm also part of R&J Media doing a show called Puck in Deep, which hasn't started yet, but I'll let you know when it does. And I've been doing season previews for every NHL team. And today we're going to be looking at the Calgary Flames. We're going to be looking at all their roster, forwards and defense, projecting where they may go this year, when they might end up in the standings, or just plain what might they do to progress in the future. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to be looking, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. I use JFresh Analytics. I use it contextually, which means I don't just look at analytics and say that's it. There's a lot of, it gives me a lot of information, but I watch a divorce-worthy amount of hockey as well, like crazy amounts of hockey. So I gather the information and apply it to what I see. And it's great information to get. I really would recommend JFresh. I don't get paid by him or anything like that. So let's take a look at the Calgary Flames. I'll be looking at daily face-off, and I'll also be looking at Puckpedia. So let's start with the lines the daily face-off has up right now. I like it better because it's more of a projected line, where right now Puckpedia is more or less using lines that are being used in training camp and stuff like that. All right, we start off with the first line of Huberdeau, Kadri, and Coronado. Jonathan Huberdeau, that of the $10.5 million he's making, 6.5 or $10.5 million for like 65 points is not the greatest. He started out when he first came from Florida, because when he was in Florida, he just didn't care about defense at all. It's part of the reason why he got traded. When he came to Calgary and Sutter was there, he really, because Sutter won't accept anything less than playing well defensively, three-zone hockey. And he bought into it to a certain extent, but since Sutter left, it's been kind of, it's better than it used to be, but it's not great. He's not producing as much offense, of course, as you know, but he is a good playmaker. It's not a terrible player. It's just his contract makes him look all right. Not very good. He's about an average top line left winger. He can do a lot of good things. He's got a lot of skill. He's very smart. And he's here for life, pretty much, because I don't think they're ever going to be able to trade him. With Nazem Kadri, another above average. Did I say center before? I meant left winger, if I did say center. Nazem Kadri, another above average center. Plays average defensively. Great heart. If you know Kadri, you know Kadri. He's got a lot of heart. What I love about him is he is really loyal, and his compete level is awesome. Everybody loves Kadri for his compete level. Cup winner. About skill-wise, about an average, again, first liner with pretty darn good skills, good passing skills and all of that, but nowhere near elite. Matt Coronado looks like he's going to be a great player down the road. But he's still really, really young, and he has a lot to learn about the whole grasp of the game. But shot-wise, it's fantastic. He's amazing, of course. Amazing, okay, I might be overstating it a bit, but he's really, really good is a better way of putting it. There's a good chance he'll be a 40-goal scorer several times in his career, maybe once or twice in his career or whatever, but who knows? He has a pretty high ceiling, but it's the finer points of the game that he still has to work on. However, at his age, there ain't nothing wrong with having Coronado on the right side. So I'd say it's a pretty average top line for Calgary. As far as the second line is concerned, Connor Zary, another young player that's learning how to play the game. He's very good defensively for his age. But he's growing, and he can put up some decent offense as well. He's still got a lot. He's still got a lot. I'd have him on my team for sure. I really like the guy. But right now, I put him at about the average, below average, somewhere around there. But for his age, I'd put it very high. But players that for players in the NHL, I'd put him about average. There's still a lot of growth. He had an injury last year, which didn't really help his development at all, but still pretty good. Michael Backlund. There's a common theme here. A lot of these players are very good defensively. Backlund certainly is. He's getting up there in age, and it's questionable with all of these players what's going to happen this year if they falter. Um, I haven't seen Conroy, the general manager, really tip his hand on which direction he may go, but I would have to think that the time is ticking for Backlund. I, yeah, he's really getting up there in age, and I doubt very much that Calgary thinks that they're going to be a real contender anytime soon, unless they've got something in their back pocket for a really big player to add to this team, which is possible, I suppose. If not, though, I think Backlund maybe moving on pretty soon. Blake Coleman, I love Blake Coleman. Great defensive player. Love the guy. Love that grindy type, solid three-zone defensive player that can do so many things for your team. Sticks up for his teammates. Just a lot of heart. A lot of heart on this whole lineup, actually. Except for, maybe Huberdeau's gotten better that way, but Kadri, Zari, Backlund, these are heart and soul players. Coleman is a heart and soul player, too. Maybe shouldn't be in that 2 spot, I would say, but um, he does add, you can play him in the 2 spot. It's not what you would normally want from Coleman on a really good team. He would be more of a third line guy. But on this team, he's a second liner. He's about average. He would be way above average third liner. Strong defensively. He actually drives play really well, which is something the Calgary Flames generally don't have a lot of with Kadri, Coleman. Backlund isn't really the greatest play driver. He's more of just a solid defensive player. But he's always been a good play driver. His skills are just not are very average, and his finishing isn't very good. But as a whole player, this is a guy that if they plan on rebuilding, I think he's got 4.9 million right now for the next 3 years. I think there's teams that be lining up for this guy, and you can get a really good return for him. It's hard to let him go, but if Conroy decides they got to get some draft picks and get some young players in here, which I think I'm leaning that they should probably do, this would be a guy that should give you a really good return. Joel Farabee. Joel Farabee, this is third line now we're looking at. Farabee, Frost, and Sharangovich. This sounds about right. Sounds about how these lineups will be more likely than not as the season goes on. It may go up and down. He may switch things up a little bit. But Joel Farabee, he's making a lot of money at $5 million. I think it's $5 million some. But he actually is a really good defensive player. He's kind of a weird player where he's a good three-zone defensive player. He can actually drive play. His overall skill is not that great. Probably best suited for a third line role. I think his competition level was fairly high too that he played against. I'm going to look it up here. About average, just above average. But for a 24-year-old, I don't mind him. He's about an average third liner. It's just he can't score, and they really do need scoring on this team. He does have great playmaking ability, but it doesn't seem to translate onto the score sheet for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Calgary is putting a lot of belief in him, and maybe he'll bust out. Maybe he's just kind of getting unlucky in a lot of ways. I'm not sure, but it just never seems to pan out for him. Maybe it's just a confidence issue. And if he's playing for Calgary and you're looking for confidence, he's got a lot of people out, very positive players, and it's actually a very positive organization. So watch out for Farabee. I think he's a guy that could kind of break out a little bit next year. Maybe take a peek at his futures. because he hasn't put it together yet on the score sheet for the talent that he has. Morgan Frost, another really good defensive forward. He's a good playmaker. He's on the smallish side, but he's a very smart player. I thought I think with Philadelphia when Tortorella was there, I don't think he ever denied the kid was smart and he had some skills, and he could definitely be a solid third liner down the road. I think it's just some teams just don't want his kind of size on the third line when it comes playoff time. So I can get that, but I think I can see Calgary picking up because Backlund isn't all that big either, but he's been great for them. And Morgan Frost is sort of like a Backlund type player, probably going to take his spot in the lineup. But I personally do think size is important too, and it is a difficult spot to play in at his size. There are players that have done very well at it. Morgan Frost looks like he could be heading in a direction in a type of smaller type player that plays just a very smart game, very intelligent player that can play that kind of a role and add a little offense too. It's not bad. Igor Sharangovich, again, more of an offensive player, more of a play driver, which is something that they really need on that line. Not super great skills, but all of these players are average to above average on their top three. It's a fairly deep lineup that way. They just don't have any players that are breakout players. That's the problem with this Calgary team. I think the bones of this team as it is not bad, except for the fact that you have older players like Coleman and Backlund that are probably going to have to move out, and they don't really have anybody to replace them that is an impact player. They're hoping Matt Coronado turns out to be that way, and to some extent he will be, but I think they really need more. If you were going to take a Kaprizov and throw him in here or something like that, this would be a playoff team. Would it be a contending team? I don't think so. No. So if it's me, I'd say, you know what, we got good bones here, but I think we got to kind of rebuild it out, build it a little bit, especially with these next two drafts that are pretty deep. Keep on. I like the logic and knowledge towards the team though. I like how they have found players that play a solid 3-zone defensive system, have skill. I like their philosophy is what I'm trying to say in Calgary with the players that they have here. If they keep that philosophy, draft that way, and get impact players, I think Calgary could be very, very good. Klapka, I love Klapka for the fourth line. He's a kind of a unicorn, big, solid player that can play, again, another 3-zone defensively aware for a fourth liner, as long as he's playing against lesser competition, but still very good. And he's got offensive skills. His shot is really good, and he has a good offensive instinct for a guy whose overall skill set is probably a little bit lacking. But you put Klapka from the hash marks in, and you get him the puck, and he can do some stuff, man. He's fun to watch. I really like him. He's big, he's solid, he's pretty smart, and he knows his limitations, and he knows how to work within his limitations. I think he does a hell of a job. I really think he's a great player. He's a kind of fourth liner that I would pay up in the $3 million range, higher than normal, because he can go up in the lineup. He's a kind of player also that in certain situations you can put him up in the top 6, especially if you're trying to come from behind or if players are hurt. He can go up there and be relatively effective, actually. So I like him. Martin Pospisil, you love his energy, you love his heart, but his overall game is kind of meh. I'd like him better in the fourth line spot here. It'll be interesting to see how he adapts. They've been using him up in the lineup and seeing if he could adapt well, and he really hasn't really adapted all that well. He's fun to watch. Guy's got energy like crazy. Another guy that's sort of a heart and soul player, and they've got a lot of that on Calgary. I think they've really did well at identifying heart and soul players if they are limited in skill, And heart and soul players, even if they are not limited in skill and are really good three-zone players, they really have, it's Calgary seems to be able to identify character well, and smart players that play the game that wins today, like the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're really solid three-zone forwards. So I like the philosophy, but I just think they're a little light in the skill level to be able to make an impact this year. Ryan Longberg, again, is a heart and soul guy. He doesn't really provide much. He can fight and stuff like that. As a fourth liner, he's one of those guys that just gets everybody riled up, brings a lot of energy. And I know I'm an analytics person, but I do put value in that. I do put value in these high energy guys that are able to lift players up and kind of bring that fight to the game and fight to the dressing room. There is value in that. A lot of analytics people think it's not, but I disagree. I think there is value, preferably in your fourth lines. You don't want guys that can't play that are really loud and energy players. Perfect spot for him. I don't mind it, but again, on the ice, he's not that great. All right, let's go to the defense again. Beautiful pickup by Kevin Ball. Who did they trade again? Was that Hamilton trade? No, that's not that far back. I can't remember who they traded. No, remind me in the comment section. But really good pickup of Kevin Ball. Good defensive defenseman, kind of in the Tanev type player. Never going to bring too much. He's not going to bring too much offense to the table, but he's not too bad at moving the puck. And for a big man, he can skate all right. But he's already a fairly reasonable number one defensive defenseman. You don't see those guys too much in the NHL anymore. Those Chris Tanevs and stuff like that, and they're really important to have. I like him a lot. I don't mind him in that spot on the top line on the left side. Rasmus Andersson, who there's a lot of talk of him being traded. I think even Backstrom, when he was talking in Sweden, said it's a foregone conclusion, which is going to be a little difficult for the Calgary Flames, because as we go down the defense here, we'll see that it's pretty light. Rasmus Andersson, I don't know what's happened the last 2 years. I'm not sure. But defensively, he just has not been good. I don't know if it's because the coach has said, don't worry about it, we need your offense, or I don't know. I know one theory is, and I could see it, is that Lushko has a man-on-man defensive system. And it's quite possible that it's a very kind of a complex system. It's possible that Rasmus Andersson just has a difficult time with it, a very difficult time with it, which is a little bit concerning, because it's not pure man-on-man. It starts man-on-man and then it floats into a zone, but it tries to be man-on-man as much as it possibly can. And some players just don't seem to be adapt to it very well, and Rasmus Andersson seems like one of them, which has me believing he's probably on his way. If they really believe in Halushko's system and Andersson can adapt, I think they can get a good return for him, and I think they're going to need to get a defense back. But he's just still a great play driver. He's very good offensively, great playmaker. He's got a really good shot. There's a lot of value in him on a team like, say, the New York Rangers, just off the top of my head, who just brought in Sullivan, who's got a very simple defensive system, sort of like what Sutter had, and that's probably why he did really well in that system. So maybe somebody like that, he could get back to a system he's quite right. He's more astute at being in and provide his offense. But as it is, it's not a bad top pairing right there. It's an underrated top pairing. Second line, Joe Hanley. Probably shouldn't be here, to tell you the honest truth. More of a third guy. But so he's a good defensive defenseman. That's about all I can say about that. I mean, he's good to have on your team. I would prefer him on the third pair. But their depth right now isn't very good. So, as I was mentioning, he's probably playing a little too high in the lineup, but it is what it is. Uyghur, fantastic. Love Uyghur. Honestly, I would have him up where Anderson is, but I understand why Anderson's up there with Kevin Ball if he's struggling with the system. So he has a defensive guy that can make up for it a little bit. Mackenzie Weegar, he's very adept at just about one of the smartest defensemen out there. So underrated, it's crazy. He was in Florida too when they made the trade. I didn't like Huberdeau going at all when he was in Florida, and I've talked about that in previous videos. You can go check them out. But when they got Mackenzie Weegar, I was like, whew, thank God they got him, because Huberdeau is probably not going to pan out at 10.5, and he hasn't. But Weegar has been exceptional. Love the guy in every facet of the game. He's a little limited offensively, but overall he's just a defenseman's defenseman. He knows where to be all the time. He's physical. He's got heart. I just love the guy. He's loyal. He's got a loyalty to him. He plays for his team. Love him a lot. Jake Bean is a guy that you can only trust against lower competition. He should probably be a depth defenseman rather than here, but they don't have anybody, and he doesn't really provide all that much, to tell you the honest truth. He didn't really progress. He was a first round pick that just didn't really progress very well. Kind of a spot filler while they hope somebody takes his spot from him. Pahal could play here, but I mean, he's not that great either. So you put one or the other in. They're probably going to switch him back and forth to keep him on fresh legs. So at the very least, when they're going into the game, they're not tiring or anything like that. I could see that happening. Not to mention Pahal is a little different player than Jake Bean, so they can utilize either one of them for what strengths they do have depending on the team they're going to be playing against. Zane Parekh, man, I'm just going by what I hear. He's just looks like he's a very beautiful offensive player. I know as he was coming up, he said things like, I am what I am and I'm going to be what I am, and he kind of like poo-pooed off defense. He's just a pure offensive guy. I really hope that's not the case. I hope he buys into things like what Mackenzie Weegar will be teaching him. In this league now, to be a pure offensive defenseman, it makes it really tough. This league is more of a systems league now. Systems are extremely important. The best teams in the league play to a system, and everybody buys in. Forwards, defensemen, everything. Like I said, Florida Panthers, Vegas Golden Knights, Tampa Bay Lightning, all the teams that have had success and won cups in the last little while are very systems orientated, and they get teams that fit and play and are willing to play in their system. So hopefully that was just some youth immaturity, and he progresses the way in a much more mature way. But skill-wise, you can't deny it. He put up like just unreal points in junior. The couple games he has played in the NHL, he certainly didn't look out of place. Tons of skill, can skate, could be a boom player that they absolutely need. So I know Calgary fans that are like, he's going to be our top right D right now, and maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how fast he'll progress. We'll see. But you got to love having him. That's for sure. You got to love having a kid like that. Of course, then you're talking about goaltending. Wolf is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Everybody knows. I don't need to tell anybody about it. The guy's going to probably win Vezinas, and probably keep this team afloat. Going into the trade deadline, which is kind of tough, because if they are, this Calgary market kind of needs that playoff money. That's why the owners are really, really, really don't want to be going into a complete rebuild. It's a tough market to draw players in, and they need to make money. Just like any owner doesn't really like a deep rebuild. They're hoping that they can do it on the fly. I think it's possible if you trade Blake Coleman, because he probably isn't going to be there when you're going to be totally legit. The only thing is you're getting it's like this middle pack team where it bubbles or gets close to the bubble, so you're getting the 13th and 14th pick. The good news is they seem to be drafting extremely well. They seem to be able to pick up players like Zari and You know, they identify pick guys like Frost, who might be a little overpaid right now, but it wasn't a bad play. It wasn't a bad pickup. I like the way their philosophy is, and if they're drafting that way, Samuel Hanzik looks like he's going to be pretty good. They just got that Adar Sunyev. Please, if I said it wrong, please correct me in the comment section. William Stromgren looks like he's going to be that same type of player we're talking about. So there are some good guys coming up that they're picking in the middle, but it'd be really nice for them to pick up like a top 5 in a deep draft, a guy that's really an impact player. Either that or through free agency be able to bring in like a Kyle Connor or somebody of that nature to be that impact scorer that they can use to build around these strong 3-zone defensive players that really have a huge offensive ability. But I like their philosophy. Don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I really kind of hope deep down, and I think a lot of Calgary fans do as well, that guys like Backstrom and Coleman get traded and they get some first-round picks and keep on building the youth in this lineup with the same philosophy that they already have. All right, that's my full 42, my friends. I haven't said that in a while. That's my full 42. Tell me what you think in the comment section about the Calgary Flames and where they'll be, where they will be in the, and what they will do in the future. I'm a little bit on the fence about it, obviously. My gut says they're probably going to rebuild this year, especially if they trade Anderson, because they really don't have that much depth on defense in their system besides Perek or immediately available. My gut says that. What does your gut say? Have a great day, everybody. Perlo's NHL POW. You can talk to me on Twitter. Perlo's NHL POW. Subscribe. Talk to me on Twitter. You can get all my content that I do on Twitter. I send it out to everybody. And you become a member of my community. And if you become a member of my community, we made a ton of money in hockey last year. And when I get it, I'm going to be getting... I forget the name, like a Patreon going or something of that nature, and you will get a huge discount on what already won't be that much money to pay for some of my picks, and I'll be giving you free picks too that do very well. So see you when the season starts, everybody. I can't wait. Have a great day. Okay.